read the story. It says, a sit-at-home order by banned separatist group Indigenous People of Biafra in Nigeria's southeast has led to the death of over 700 people in the region over the past 4 years, an intelligence consultancy said in a new report. The IPOB campaigning for the secession of the southeast that is predominantly inhabited by the Igbo ethnic group has been labeled a terrorist organization by Nigerian authorities. SBM intelligence reported that the fatalities resulted from the killing of civilians who defy the weekly stay-at-home order every Monday and on other specific days, as well as from clashes between the IPOB and Nigerian security forces. The IPOB's enforcement tactics, including arson, looting, and targeted assassinations, have created a climate of fear, the SBM report said. While there was a high rate of compliance with sit-at-home orders in 2021, that's about some 82.6%, surveys reveal that actual support is much lower now, with many complying under duress. An IPOB spokesperson denied the group was responsible for the deaths. Those causing the killings are the kidnappers and criminals recruited by government to blackmail and demonize IPOB, the spokesperson said. The government did not respond to a request for comment. The IPOB launched the sit-at-home protest in August 2021 across the 5 states of Nigeria's southeast, using it as leverage to demand the release of its leader, Nnamdi Kanu, who is facing trial in the capital, Abuja, on terrorism charges. The group suspended the weekly protest days later, citing a direct order from Kanu, who has been in custody since 2021. The concluding part of the story says, however, other armed groups claiming allegiance to IPOB and factions within the group have persisted in enforcing the weekly protests, launching attacks on government facilities and perceived pro-government individuals. Despite IPOB's attempts to disassociate itself from the region's violence, the police have accused the group of involvement in several incidents, including a 2021 attack on a prison and the murder of over 30 travelers earlier this month. The IPOB denied responsibility for those 2 attacks. Civil war engulfed the restive Biafra region in the late 1960s, like I said in my initial introduction, killing more than 1 million people. That was the war in the 1960s, and it appears that this secessionist group, they still want to, break away from Nigeria, have their own country. I remember that book very well. There was even they nearly came up, even developed an anthem. They wanted their own currency and everything. Oh, they still have those ideas. They still do that. Well, right. I know you have an interest, particularly in I wouldn't want to say warfare, but the military. You have an interest in the military, and so you have a fair idea about what happened during the Biafra War. If you'd share with us.
I think this. Good morning to our cherished viewers and to everyone else that is watching around the world. And good morning to my dear sister here. I haven't seen her for a long time. And to yourself. The Biafra War, I quite remember, that was between 1967 to 1970. That was Ojukwu and Gowon.
Yeah.
The war between Ojukwu and Gowon, and all the atrocities that this war was supposed to have brought. So you see that this fight for independence of the Biafra state started a long time ago. And what we know is that they have the Igbos are predominantly from that area, the southeastern part of Nigeria. And so they feel like they have been shortchanged. Everything else, the oil, everything comes from them, and yet they don't get their fair share of development, and they felt marginalized. So they have a feeling that left to them alone with their own resources, they could manage their own resources and be a better place for every Igbo person. And federalism won the day, I guess, because the Nigerian people felt that there was no need for separate regions. We needed to have a federal state where the natural resources of Nigeria, whichever part, all those states that form the confederation of the federal state will benefit. And so they fought against an entity which was led by General Gowon, and Ojukwu for the Igbo side. Now, it has gone on for so long that somehow it's become entrenched in their history, because every now and then there is that issue of Biafra. There's that issue of wanting to separate themselves from the rest of the federation. I'll just tell you a personal glimpse of this issue, because this is because of a sit down on a Monday. About a year and a half ago, I went to the Southeast for a funeral. And what happened was, I was so shocked, because going from Accra to Lagos, then getting from Lagos to Owerri, we got there, and I think I've said it here before, we had to be practically chaperoned by the military and the police to where we were going. We got there, and it was like the speed and everything. And I was like, why? We've just come to a funeral, what is it? And it was like, madam, we can't let you just go. You know, this is not a safe place. And there are kidnappings, there are carjackings, and whatnot. So that was my first experience of Biafra, or the Igbo separatist movement. We got there to where we were going, entered our homes. It was so difficult for us to actually come out and walk around. We had to be chaperoned because of the fear of kidnapping. Then we had booked our flight. It was just for a funeral, so Sunday after church service, let's leave on Monday. Monday, all packed, and we were told no travel on Monday. So this is the whole thing. And I was like, but we are visitors. We have to go to the airport and that. And I said, no one travels here or moves on Mondays. And the whole place was quiet. And this was because they had decided, as a form of protest, that every Monday you don't go anywhere. Before then, we decided to go into the markets. So we said, look, let's go into you can't come, I mean, women, you can't come to a funeral with a few naira, you want to buy a few things. So we went to the market, the town center. What I saw, that was where we were able to now drive through, because we had then been confined to where we had gotten to. We're now going into the city center. And that was really a sad scenario. Filling stations were all locked out, looked so dilapidated. No shops, I mean, like, it was a skeleton area. All you saw were very badly dressed soldiers, you know, federal soldiers on the road. It was just terrible. And I was like, this can't be part of Nigeria. It's impossible. And I was told then that it's part of Nigeria, but this is an insurgency area, and therefore the federal soldiers are even afraid of these separatists, you know, bad nuts. If you are not careful and they come across you, then you're a goner. So we now get to the market center. We get down, and the driver tells us, madam, you only have about, I can give you 15, 20 minutes, because as soon as you arrive, and with us in the car, because they were in the federal military uniform, it then meant that they were targets, and we will also be targets. So we went and we just bought a few things, and it was like rush. And then we went into the car, and phew, we're going, and you know, one of us wanted to buy a particular thing, and we were sticking somewhere, and the lady told us, look, they took my car a few days ago, so I'm not interested in going even to open the shop for you to do this stuff. And I just got this whole idea of a country that is so divided that a particular group would feel so marginalized to the extent that they would bear such pain and just be there. So this separatist group with Nnamdi Kanu, who is their leader and the founder of this group, is such that the fight for the liberation of the Igbo people is something that Igbos by themselves feel that it's something they deserve to have, and it's something that they have to do for the next generation. And what I found out too was that if you look across the world, you realize that they are very industrious people. They are shakers and movers of the economy. Look at all these TV films that we are watching. Most of them are Igbo. The trades, the people who are making these spare parts, they deal in the rag trade. I mean, they are just industrious people. They have taken it upon themselves to make the best out of it. The only thing that is not happening for them is to be able to stay within their own setup and excel. So they are all over the world. So you get there and you have beautiful houses. Nobody is staying there. It's like a ghost town. Yes, they build, they go out to educate themselves, but they don't stay in their own towns and villages. That's how you have them everywhere. So I believe that whatever it is, it's jaw-jawing. It's not a question of always fighting. Because at the end of the day, this was supposed to be, this movement was supposed to be something that was peaceful, meant for just for the people to protest. But now, very bad elements have come in, and they are the ones doing the killing. So they are doing the hijacking, they are doing the kidnapping, they are doing the creating the arson and all those things. So it's time maybe for the Igbo leadership or the Biafran leadership to sit with the federal states and for them to at least, if for nothing at all, come to some form of compromise as to how the natural resource that is found in Igbo land can benefit the Igbo people. You know, because it is not fair. It's just like how we sit sometimes here and we ask ourselves why Obuasi should look the way it is when it is producing so much gold, or it has produced so much gold. So it's the same feeling that the Igbo people have. So for me, sophistication in weaponry is such that they might not fight a war today against the federal state. And if you look at the state of Nigeria now, with all these people, Boko Haram, you know, all the insurgents coming from the Boko Haram, this thing, the militants, other Islamic militants, and all the problems, even within the Nigerian situation as it is now with unemployment and all those things, it is just fair that they find a common ground to sit and discuss issues. Otherwise, this thing is going to go on and on and on. Arresting Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu, from 2021, he's been in custody. That alone gives the Biafrans outside the domain of Nigeria a lot of courage and strength, because they feel like we have to fight to get him out, continue the fight and get him out. So the best thing for you to do is, can you come to a certain agreement with Nnamdi Kanu? You see, federalism by itself, like we sat here last week and we're talking about some of the ills of federalism. If you are in a federal state and one sect is not benefiting, then there's no need. You have to be able to meet people halfway somehow. For us as a country, Ghana, before independence, federalism was one of the things that the Ashanti Kingdom wanted. But Kwame Nkrumah, in his wisdom felt that, well, with everything else coming from you know, let's have a whole one country Ghana so that we all benefit. You have the gold, some other person has something else, somebody else has something, and together we are one big happy family. Then Nigeria decides to go federal. But you see that federalism, you find that Nigeria has always had problems. Apart from the ethnic problem, then they have the religious problem. And then now you're getting divisive tendencies coming in like Biafra. They will have to one day sit up and talk about it. Those are things that as Africans we should also help them to kind of like talk about those issues. It is becoming more difficult because it is like an unwritten law probably that no Igbo will ever be president of Nigeria. It's an unwritten law. So you see, people like the Labour Party?
Yeah.
Peter Obi.
Yeah, Peter Obi.
So you see Peter Obi coming.
Yeah.
He was excellent. I mean, people loved him. But that thing was still there, and it's like the fear of the Igbo. What is he going to do if he takes over power? The fear is there. But you can't take the resilience from them, the Igbo people. You know, they will tell you that we are the Jews of Africa. Because they are fighting for their freedom. They are fighting for their freedom. And I think that African countries and African leaders should take an interest. And let's see if we can help them to sort out this particular problem. Because you can't have a country within a country where there's no peace. You know, and we are suffering it because the people that are coming here, if you go out there, they are mostly Igbos.
That's a fact.
They are mostly Igbos. If you go to America, they are there. You go to England, they are there. They are mostly Igbos because it's like they don't have a home. They feel so marginalized. And we can't have a situation like that amongst Africans and not be able to have our leaders somehow call out Nigeria and say, let's have a discussion on how we can sort this problem out. Because it's affecting us as well. The numbers that go to our countries without us being able to control and us not having made any provision for them in terms of our resources and our utility services and all that.
That's a statement of fact, actually. You know,
so we get all these things. And so we must be able to ask them to let's sit down because it's affecting us in one way or the other. So that's what I feel.
Right, thank you. There's scores of viewers watching all the way from Nigeria, several parts of the country, and so I mean this is a conversation about them, really.
Yeah,
but
so
let me also take the
they have a right to how they feel, because if you are a Yoruba or you're a Hausa or you're a Fulani, or you have a right to say something, you know. So. They should all come back.
I think, I mean, reading from Chino Achebe's account, it was something that nearly happened.
Yeah.
Except that Nigeria as a country together was stronger than
them.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
that was, and then of course
that accounted for the killings.
Exactly, and of course the colonial power was with the federal states.
Exactly.
You understand? The colonial power was with the federal states, but for them at that time, the kind of gun running that was happening and the kind of resources that the Igbos were also having. If the Hausas and all those people hadn't come, the Yorubas hadn't come together, I mean, it would have been a done deal. You know, so there's that fear also that these people are very strong, even by themselves alone.
Right, let me take Prof's thoughts on this issue as well. Prof.
Good morning to our cherished viewers, and good morning to love sister. And blessed, good to see you this morning. Yes, well, as our sister have already given us some history about this whole war, for me, I see it more or less from a point of view that a group of people feel marginalized. A group of people feel that they have a lot of natural resources within their jurisdiction, but are being denied a fair share of the resources. And that is something that as leaders, leaders within Africa should look at. All over Africa, when you want to investigate why there are wars and conflicts in a number of countries, especially when you take just the west of Africa. Most of these conflicts is centered on resources. A group of people feeling marginalized, a group of people feeling that they do not have a fair share of the national cake. And that is what leaders should pay attention to, because you cannot govern a country or you cannot have development when there is conflict. You cannot have development when people, are so scared to go out, because of course productivity will require that people, you know, are at work and they give their maximum best so other to have productivity. And so if people are sitting at home and not doing anything because of fear of being kidnapped or of being killed, then you cannot have productivity, or you cannot have development. We have seen quite a number of scenarios in other countries. Like she gave an example, when you go to Obuasi. You know, I have heard so much about Obuasi. I've been there, I think just on 2 occasions, but before then, I've heard so much about Obuasi. So the first time I visited Obuasi, I'm like, is this the town that we talk about gold in Ghana? It's Obuasi. Obuasi, for me, was like a symbol for gold. And if you have a town that is more like a symbol for gold, and this is all we have for it, then you ask yourself, do they really have a fair share of what they are taking out of that area? You know, but well, Ghanaians, as we may be, we are peaceful people. We really do not take a lot of these things into consideration. But assuming people from Obuasi and its enclave come to a realization that, but we are sitting on gold. You know, there was some time ago, I even heard that there's a road that they constructed and they're even trying to re-divert the road, because on the road or beneath the road they have
gold deposits.
They have, yes, they've found a lot of gold deposits. So they are thinking of redirecting the road and then go to, you know, mine the gold there. I mean, this just gives us that everywhere in Obuasi is gold.
Yeah.
But you go to the town and it's just so amazing. So these are things that leaders should look at, that if you are taking resources from an area, you need to pay attention to the area. Go to Western region. That is where we are getting our cocoa from. We are a proud nation. When you talk about cocoa, I remember when I visited German Chocolate Museum. I mean, you have all designs of chocolate, all the beautiful chocolate in the world, you will find it in a museum. And then you have the juice sack written boldly, Ghana, and they tell us that about 70% of cocoa they imported from Ghana. And so when we Ghanaians visited the museum, we were so, you know, proud seeing, you know, but go to the Western region where this is coming from. That's just, where is the development? The cocoa roads, where are they? People, farmers are bringing cocoa from the farm, the car gets stuck because the roads are so bad. Meanwhile, this is where our resources is coming from, or are coming from. So as a continent, I think leaders need to pay attention to areas where natural resources are coming from, so that people within this jurisdiction also feel, you know, that they are enjoying a fair share of the national cake. Because, of course, like the group is indicating, some criminals have also taken advantage of the conflict or of the misunderstanding and are doing their own thing. Why would somebody kidnap another person and demanding maybe a ransom for it? It may not necessarily be the Igbo group who are, you know, demanding independence. It may just be some criminals who are also taking advantage to also get something for themselves. And so it's important as a country, as a continent, that we should pay attention to everybody. Development should not be centered in one area. I mean, if you take Ghana as as a country, again, you may have some of these, challenge where areas that are already developed, you still have government sometimes still concentrating more resources into this area and neglecting other areas that are not developed. So it's important, because when there's conflict, it will not just affect the people who feel marginalized. It affects everybody, because everybody now becomes afraid. You cannot go out, and sometimes the people who may be kidnapped or may be robbed or maybe even raped may not necessarily be the immediate target of the people, but they just become victims of the circumstance. So it's important that our leaders pay attention. And I think that if the Biafra is not coming to the table, the federal state should invite them, should rather approach them and invite them to the table. There should be some jaw and try to settle this, because at the end of the day, if government institutions or government property are targeted and destroyed, it's still a loss to the state. And they need to find an amicable solution by reaching out and inviting them to the table for a discussion.
Thank you very much. You too can be a part of today's conversation, as you can see on screens. That is the text line 0559919802, 0559919802. Also on YouTube, we are streaming live. On Facebook, we are streaming live. You can join the conversation. Let me know what your thoughts are on the topics that we are discussing. I am seeing stories about the Chief Justice. She's been talking, treated worse than a traitor. In her words, she's been treated worse than a traitor. She's also said that the Supreme Court is the only institution that can avert this travesty of injustice. That is what she calls it. But let me read the story. It says, suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Abasa Tokuno has filed a damning supplementary affidavit at the Supreme Court on Monday, May 26. She painted a harrowing picture of her treatment in the ongoing impeachment inquiry, which she describes as a mockery of justice, an assault on judicial independence, and worse than the treatment meted out to persons accused of treason. Justice Tokuno said the process she's being subjected to constitutes a complete desecration of in quote, a complete desecration of my basic constitutional rights to a fair trial, violation of my dignity, and subjection to inhuman and degrading treatment of a kind not meted out to even accused persons on trial for treason. The affidavit filed in support of a motion for an interlocutory injunction to halt the proceedings outlines a series of alarming developments since she first took legal action on May 21. She revealed that despite informing the committee of the suit she filed at the Supreme Court and providing copies of the processes, the committee proceeded with the inquiry the very next day. Notwithstanding receipt of the processes filed, the members of the committee indicated their resolve to proceed. She states, adding that she still has not been informed of the legal basis for determining that a prima facie case had been established against her. I do not know the specific allegations I am to answer to. I cannot even begin to prepare a defense, she lamented. Justice Tokuno described what she views as a calculated series of violations. She recounted how on May 15 her lawyer appeared before the committee in her absence, only to be ignored and sidelined by the same committee that had served him with hearing notices a day earlier. The committee shockingly refused, in quotes, the committee shockingly refused to recognize my counsel and proceeded to fix subsequent hearing dates without involving him, she said. Even more troubling, according to her affidavit, is the committee's decision to allow the petitioners to call third-party witnesses instead of testifying themselves. She argues that this undermines the principle of direct accountability and flies in the face of rules that require petitioners to testify under oath and be subjected to cross-examination. This is completely offensive to no rules of procedure, she insists. So this is coming from the Chief Justice, or the suspended Chief Justice. There's an acting Chief Justice, but she's not happy with the committee, and These are the latest issues that have arisen from that process, that impeachment process, or that removal process, if I should call it. I'm starting the conversation with you again, Madam Rodley Ayana, on this issue of the Chief Justice. A lot of people, and I've read, I mean, whenever I see such stories, I read comments. And so for this one, like this, I'm reading the comments and it appears that nobody seems to be in her corner. It appears everybody disagrees with her. People even go as far back as telling her some of the things, or stating some of the things that she said herself, you know, when she was Chief Justice, including that decision on the birth certificate not being a viable document to determine your citizenship. And so these are...
He's talking about judicial independence.
Exactly.
And right to the president to elect, to bring out two people for... Is it 2 or 3? Two
judges.
Supreme Court. That was the independence of that particular thing. And the people of Sal, they were not human. When she could sit through and let a whole lot of people sit for almost 4 years or so without any representation. I mean, at the end of the day, she should be asking herself a lot of questions. I don't know, but I don't understand where she's coming from. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't like reading all these blah, 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 blah. But I do know that whatever she was saying about, one, the fact that her daughter and her husband were not allowed where she was, and that the hearing is being heard at the castle, which for her, it intimidates her. And then in the same letter again, she says it's a highly secure place, like a high security zone. Yes, the case before the committee is a high security situation. From 1963, we have not had a Chief Justice sacked. From 1963, she's lucky she has a committee. Sir Akukwasa was sacked 2 days after, you know, a judgment. He never had the opportunity of this kind of interrogation or an opportunity to say his mind. Chief Justice, suspended Chief Justice Tokono, I think should have thrown in the towel right at the very beginning instead of letting herself be pushed. I feel that there are some invincible hands pushing her to do the things she's doing and to continue to want to waste the time of the committee. This is strictly just going by the book. Nobody is going outside the book. The Constitution is there. The case you have brought, it's not for the Supreme Court. Take it to the High Courts. Take it to the High Courts. Don't go and bring in situations that do not hold. Your husband and daughter not coming is because it's supposed to be held in camera.
Yeah.
And this is a constitutional requirement, in camera, just you and them. So why do you bring your family members? They are free to sit anywhere that they can sit. You understand? And then also, I just said, having a secured place, not going to the complex, the court complex, it's also just a way of telling you that we value your life, and therefore we are giving you the most secured place, which is the castle, you know. And why should she feel intimidated? I don't understand. This was a woman who was so confident in all her utterances. And suddenly she wants us to think that she is being subjected to some form of injustice, and she's at the receiving end. Really? I don't really know what to say, because everything that has happened these last few months has been according to the book, according to the Constitution. Calling out to your colleagues within the Supreme Court to come and help you, or to help you because this is something that you think is not fair, it affects our independence of the judiciary, it affects blah, 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 blah. all well and good. It's rather too late now for you to say those things. You had the opportunity to see to it that justice delivery in this country was fair, but you sat back and watched all manner of infringements against people's rights were brought to your notice. If for nothing at all, SAL, the people of SAL alone must be a block of conscience in your mind that this was wrong. But you sat there and let it pass. So at the end of the day, she shouldn't complain. I think she should just relax and let the situation roll out. If she's found not guilty, she will go back and be Chief Justice. If she's found guilty, she will go home. Except that now, she will go with nothing. She had the opportunity to resign and go with her entitlements. But maybe she doesn't need the entitlements. I am not going to say that Chief Justice Tokenu deserves any sympathy, because she didn't show sympathy to so many other people. And she's just being shown exactly what her courts were meting out to people. It is not for nothing that people will tell you that some people knew the law and other people knew the judges. All of it goes to say we are where we are because you superseded over a group of people that you should have shown the way, and maybe you didn't show them the way, and you are now caught in that web. So she should be able to carry her own cross. That's all I can say. I am not going to sit here and feel sorry for her, because I think that sitting here and being told that by virtue of the fact that I have a Ghanaian birth certificate doesn't make me a Ghanaian alone always angers me. You know, it really gets on my nerves. And so I try these days not to speak too much about the whole situation, because I get very emotional. So I'll end it here.
Prof, Chief Justice says it appears your government is on a mission to just throw it out without basis. If you look at some of the allegations she has made, she has actually said that the Puaman Committee is a mockery of justice. That is how, in quote, she describes it, and also chronicles some of the treatment meted out to her. I mean, the fact that if I'm reading it and then I'm failing to establish exactly what kind of treatment she's talking about. Whether she's not allowed to eat.
I don't know. I understand it. They don't let her daughter and her husband come inside.
So I don't know what kind of treatment that's meted out to her that really amounts to being treated as somebody who has committed a treasonable offense. Because if then it means maybe they're not giving her food, they've confined her to a cell, she's not allowed to move. Maybe that, for me, in my estimation, that would be being treated,
I just told you that I get emotional. I think of people like KOKU, being acquitted and being there. You're sitting there, you're presiding over these kind of things. Yeah. And today you want to tell us that somebody is doing something wrong to you? No, please.
Right, let me hear from Prof.
As the Bible says, do unto others as you wish others to unto you. And there's a saying that in this world, when you throw a ball to the wall, it comes back to you. The faster and harder you throw, the faster it comes back to you. I would have wished that in the midst of this brouhaha, she just resigned honorably. And that, I see it as bringing a lot of honor onto herself, instead of throwing a lot of words out there and calling for sympathy for herself. I was really wondering what it meant when the court ruled that you cannot use a birth certificate as an identity of your nationality. Meanwhile, that same birth certificate is required when you are going for a passport. And that same birth certificate was used when we were going for our national ID.
That is a Ghana card.
The Ghana card. And yet that same birth certificate cannot be. I mean, they are the. They understand the
explanation.
But when you common sense, it doesn't make sense.
If you listen to the explanation, like that is, it makes a mockery of our common sense.
Exactly.
Like,
and this is a who sat and ruled.
She was interpreting everything in the Constitution according to how she wanted us to take it.
Exactly.
So we are also doing the same thing
so
now.
The law is the law.
Yes.
To the same law is the law now.
Yes.
Why are they crying? What happened to Domolovo?
Exactly.
When he went and sent a case, they delayed the case for almost 2 years after he had left.
Went on retirement.
On retirement. Before they said they aired.
He has forgotten.
Well, I mean, wasn't he a human being? Didn't he feel tortured? Didn't he feel he was being targeted unjustifiably? The South people, what happened to them? Because at that time, the government knew that if they should organize an election, one, if SAR was to be part of Hohwe, Amewu wouldn't win. If they organize an election, the NDC will take the seat, and that will mean that there will be equal number.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that would create problem for them. So you denied a whole constituency of being represented, and you sat on consent. It was okay, because at that time you were not feeling it. You were not in the hot seat. I mean, you see, as the Bible says, do unto others as you wish others do unto you. People felt she was in a realm of affairs to have advised the president, to have given her own judgment, independently. But people felt she was being also used at that time by the government to go after people, to punish people unjustifiably. Today, the people who petition for her removal are not NDC members. In fact, the petition even came out before the election. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was petitioned for her removal, but just that he didn't act on it because at that time she was there to serve his interests. So if anybody is thinking that it is NDC that is going after her, or is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is the one going after her, I think they are wrong, because the people who petition for her removal are not NDC. Neither is John Mahama's family part of that, the group calling for her removal. But they are just ordinary Ghanaians who felt that there were things she should have done and she refused to do as a Chief Justice. And so she had to dance to her own tune of music. But for me, if I'm to advise, I would say that when the seat is too hot for you, you just resign.
Too late now, she can't.
You just resign.
Once the committee has started sitting, she
can't. And, they are talking about in-camera hearing. Now you go there, and whatever is discussed there, you bring it to the public. And it's as well as just doing a live...
So that's why they took her laptop and her phone. We can't even trust you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can't even trust you.
I think yesterday I was reading that they taking her phone and this from her. She was
trust her.
She's being tortured mentally, and that is how Domolovo went through. You see, sometimes when
Gregory Afoko.
When somebody is going through something, for you to feel what a person is going through, try to imagine yourself being the person, and you will understand what the person is going through. But you see, when you think that, for me, it is not me, I don't care, to one day to be your turn. And that is why when we are in a position of trust, we should not always, allow ourselves to be used. There are times when, yes, the people who have appointed us says do something and you think it is not right. Try to convince the person to understand why you think it is not right. Yeah. And not that you are just, following. When they say, go and do this, you also go and do it. Then they shower more praises on you. Then you be, meanwhile, the people that you are punishing are the same people you meet every day. They are the same people we all gather in church on Sunday. So, I'm not a lawyer, and I will not pretend to be one. But if you ask for my candidate's opinion, it's just for her to keep quiet. If it is too late for her to resign, she should just keep quiet and allow the process to continue instead of, throwing a lot of words out there. It rather angers more people. And if you have a whole country of almost 30,000 and you have more than 20,000 saying that, no, we don't want you, you should go, then you are finished. And by when you look at the last time there was a poll, 52% of Ghanaians are saying that no, they want her removal. So she should go into herself, have a retrospective of herself, and if she thinks that she really erred in a number of instances, you just apologize to Ghanaians. And then also resign, even though by law they are saying that it's too late. Yes, you can still say that, well, I thought I had a case, but after looking at things, I think I do not have a case. And so I'm resigning and, ask the case to be closed. For all of us to
we still have to know what it is, the end.
Yeah, because
that's why you're given the opportunity.
You see, the thing is that, well, it's because you are having in-camera hearing, but a lot of things will now come up. I hear her daughter was appointed, the husband was also giving something. Contract and things. Initially, we didn't know about these things.
At the end of the day, we will have to know what happened.
It's just like Cecilia Daba's case. When the house help stole the money, maybe she could have just kept quiet. After all, it's thief man. You just keep quiet. But she rather decided to go after the house help. And look at what came up.
Yeah.
Definitely, she may think she's left off the hook. We will bring back this case. So sometimes, yes, we are all human. We err one way or the other. But when you err, you should just accept it and move on. But when you want to feel that, no, I'm right and things, it will rather bring up a whole lot of things. People will now go and be digging your grandfather, where he comes from, and all things that maybe in your life you want to forget. They all will be dug out. And so I would say she should just keep quiet and allow the
thing
process.
is that if you went to court, you will not be given an opportunity to say that, oh, I'm sorry, I did blah, blah, blah. You will still go to jail.
Yeah.
If they find you guilty, you are going.
You are going, yeah.
You understand? So this is not a situation of us saying that, okay, I haven't. So no, we have to get to the end of the story.
Let's know what transpires.
Yes, we have to know what transpired, because for me, I don't know the accusations that have been leveled against her.
It's not known.
Yes, I don't know. So I would want to be able to read what happened. And then from there, probably other people will learn lessons from it. That's the whole thing. It's not like witch hunting or anybody wants to put her in trouble or whatever. It's just that things have been said about you, and the best you could have done was probably just say that, look, it looks like nobody's happy with me, so thank you very much, Ghana, and goodbye. Then the leaders of the day could have looked for some UN position for you somewhere, for you to go and cool off and enjoy your life. You understand? With dignity. Today we have Sufa Akufo.
As co-chair of the Council of States.
Exactly, in the Council of States. These are things that should have informed her that, let me just go with a clean slate. Let people just be thinking and wondering what I did.
Exactly.
You see? But instead, now you wanted us to open the whole Pandora box for everybody to hear. So that is why we are going. And if there's anyone behind the scenes pushing you, you should have known that all those pushing you are not going to be able to help you. Because all through they told you, oh, the committee is not going to be set up, you're not going to go, and you are going. You understand? You're still going to face a committee. And the other thing is that, do you believe in our justice system? Because now, from all the things you're saying and asking for help from members of your Supreme Court, is that you believe in the justice system. You think that this particular thing is going to destroy it. Okay? Fine. So go through the process. Since you believe in it, go through the process. And let's get an end to the story. If you go to Nsawam or any other prison, there are people there who are serving jail term for crimes they did not commit.
Yeah.
Are you getting me? And all these things, if you are to put them together, it means that our judicial system needs some form of resetting as well. Because why should you even think that somebody wants by force to take you out? No. Believe in the system. Go through it. Go and speak and defend yourself. You are the chief lawyer of everything. Defend yourself properly with all that you have. If you're clean, fine. If you're not, goodbye. I will say thank you for your services. That's it. It's just that you lose your entitlement, and that for me hurts me. Because having worked, you have to earn something. Unless you've already got enough.
Right. Let's do some messages. Good morning to you and your panelists. The minority are saying that they will not go to Parliament until the President changes his mind to reinstate the suspended Chief Justice, which I think they are rather forcing the President to sack her for them. She should do the needful and resign to save her dignity. James from Kumasi sent this one. Thank you, James. The deliberate legal rigmarole gymnastics the suspended chief justice has drowned herself in order to flood news headlines wouldn't keep her afloat because her ego-driven actions are anger irritants as far as the public is concerned. This clutching on straws legal sophistry jeered at dominating media discussions will not court any public sympathy, but rather further elicit public opprobrium and revulsion because she's acting as if the CJ portfolio is a birthright till casket. Today, she knows judicial independence, and Jesus wept. Where was the judicial independence when she, so motto, on the blind side of the Judicial Council, wrote a letter to the outgone president requesting for him to appoint 5 judges to the Supreme Court. She handpicked the same woman who superintended over the South case and denied them parliamentary representation for 4 years, is today talking about Justice Erickson from Techiman in the Bono East region. Sent this one. Thank you, Erickson, for a message. Good morning, Bless. In my opinion, the suspended Chief Justice only wants to frustrate the process, and I think she's rather a big problem to the judiciary. Was she beaten at the committee sitting before talking about inhumane treatment? I think the earlier she's thrown out quickly, the better to serve the country and the judiciary. Thanks, Gershon from Makachi. Thank you, Gershon, for a message. This one, he also says, good morning to you, host, and your distinguished panelists. The embattled Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Gertrude Tokono, is making a cacophony about the petition seeking a removal in office. This woman and her legal counsel causing collateral damage to a case by engaging in emotional roller coaster to get public sympathy. If she's truly a believer of tenets of rule of law and constitutionalism, then she must be extremely quiet and refrain from making needless and spurious allegations that are not borne by any factual evidence and allowed due process. If the law is to take its course. No legal gymnastics and counterproductive narratives from Tokono's legal counsel will prevail and preempt due process of the law of the land. No one is absolutely above the laws of Ghana, and the law must work to the latter without intimidation, fear, or favor. Ernest Everlaf Kwashi sent this one. My viewers can write good English. Right. Let's proceed. Good morning to you all. I'm now confused. Is the CJ above the Constitution? If no, then why are we disturbing ourselves on the issues? What goes around comes around. We must accept that. Kucho from Menshia sent this one. Thank you, Kucho, for your message. Good morning to you and your panelists, especially Auntie Ayana. Are you called Imoro?
Yes, I'm Imoro Ayana.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Okay, so Auntie Imoro Ayana, please tell her I love her so much. I'm sure she loves you too. The suspended CJ should have just resigned and saved herself from this tactics. She wants to damage the judiciary system and leave. Sir Idris from Tamale sent this one. Thank you, Idris. Good morning to you, Pan-African TV, for your good work you are doing for Mother Ghana. My opinion is that I guess the CJ is misbehaving. Richard Agote, thank you, Richard, for your message. 2 more messages, then we continue. Good morning, Bless. If she is cleared upon all the things we saw under her, then no month will pass without a petition against her until retirement. Zico, thank you, Zico, for the message. Those who were jailed unjustly didn't go through mental torture. There's a question that Evelyn Ansa is asking. Good morning. From Nigeria, it is better to follow the law. The Gesh sent this one all the way from Nigeria. I say a Nigerian number as well. Thank you, the Gesh, for your message. Good morning. Please, I think the judiciary have to sacrifice her to sanitize the system. Felix from Ashaiman. Thank you, Felix, for your message. Good morning, Bless. The issues in Nigeria are extremely bothersome. Fola Shade send this one from Nigeria. Okay, thank you, Fola, for your message. Of course, the issues there are extremely bothersome. Bless, the NPP should allow the suspended Chief Justice go through her impeachment without any hindrance. The petitions to hold the committee from doing their job is getting out of hand. What interest does the NPP have in this matter? This behavior looks suspicious. Sami and Adenta. Thank you, Sami. Hey, I said I was going to read 2 more, but the messages keep. I have so many messages. Okay. Let me read this one. It's a birthday dedication. Happy birthday to Mrs. Helena Nyameche Achnedu Bobi of Mount Zion Methodist Church, and son Kumasi, from your son Kwesi Kram Keke of the NPP. All right. So, happy birthday, Mommy Helena Nyameche Achnedu Bobi. This one is coming from your son Kwesi Kram of the New Patriotic Party. Wish you the very best for this year and the many years ahead. Good morning, good morning, Africa. I'm Nathan Tar, following you from Bua, the English part of Cameroon. All right. Just to let you know that our own situation here is the same as that in Biafra. Most of our people are internal and transnationally displaced. And this one,
the Nigerian side.
So this one came all the way from Cameroon, from Nathan. Thank you, Nathan, and thank you for expressing your view as well. Good morning, Bless. This woman is just wasting the Attorney General's time for the prosecution of co-looter, from Robert Bodo in Aflao. Thank you, Robert, for your message. Let's proceed to our next topic for conversation. Keep the messages coming. I'll find time to read them. Wontumi granted bail after CID interrogation, set to appear again today. I'm sure we've all heard the audio where the national security stormed his residence in Kumasi, and then he called into his station to explain, and then he's asking him, "I'm sorry, Ghana, for not sorry." Prof, I'm sorry, I'm starting with Prof on this one. Prof, Galamsey charges, we've had a lot of issues. Some monies that is alleged to have, I think I understand he was given some contracts, and then he didn't do what he was supposed to do. We do some 11 million Ghana cedis, in cash. Some 39 million also went somewhere. There's been a host of issues on this Wontumi matter, but it appears that it's been a humbling experience for him so far. following all the commentaries, all the things he said in the lead up to the 2024 general elections. Prof.
Well, the issue of Wontumi, the MPP, and how they are crying all over, you know, they've now become a crying baby, you know, talking about political persecution, people are just going after them unjustifiably. I mean, we're all in this country, and we saw how our river and environment being destroyed with so much impunity. I remember when Ghanaians were crying that the level at which the environment was being destroyed, government needs to pay some attention to it. Well, government made us believe that they were fighting illegal mining. But the reality on the ground shows that they were just deceiving us. People in government were neck deep in Galamsey. There was this recording all over where the then Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Frimpong Boateng, was having a conversation. I don't know why the person decided to record. But the person was trying to coerce him to, you know, accept they're going to mine and talking about the fact that partner here is a car and those kind of things. And the same way Professor Frimpong Boateng was asked to, you know, write a report why they were not able to fight Galamsey and blah, blah. He mentioned names. He wrote the report as requested. The president never did anything about it. Professor Frimpong Boateng became a victim because he was speaking the truth that some government appointee were part of the people who were doing illegal mining, destroying water bodies, destroying our environment. Not too long, it came up that Akunta mining, also done mining in the forest, destroying water body, destroying the forest. Sadly enough, we had our president then, Amado Dankwa Kufuor, defending Akunta mine. When even the minister came to attest, the minister came to confirm that indeed Akunta mining was engaged in illegality because he did not have permit to mine. But the president came to say he did nothing wrong. Yeah. Well, I don't know whether they were thinking that they would be in power forever. Because for them, they see no wrong. Whilst the water bodies were becoming more tepid, when you take samples, everything shows that we were being poisoned on daily basis. Because yes, Ghana Water Company can reduce the stability level of the water, but they are not able to take out the heavy metals from the water. And this is the same water they pump to our homes. They treat and pump. If anybody is deceived that because the tap water can't play, it means that it's clean of all the heavy metals and things, they are deceiving themselves. Because Ghana Water Company do not have any equipment to remove these pollutants from the water. They can reduce the stability level. I mean, that's even something that the ordinary Ghanaian is able to do. But the heavy metal is still there. So why would just an individual, few individuals, because of greed, because they want to enrich themselves, will put the 30 million Ghanaians at risk? Now when you are eating fufu, you are afraid. Because cassava is a heavy feeder. They pick and pick everything in the soil. So you are eating fufu, you are just gradually poisoning yourself. You are eating plantain, you are gradually poisoning yourself. Even contombre, that takes few months to mature. We did analysis of contombre. Yes. And they are heavy metals above the health risk limit. This contombre. Because the assumption is that the faster the crop grows, the lesser the likelihood of the heavy metal. Because when you stay in the soil for a long time, you would absorb more. But if the plant grows faster, there will be less uptake. But contombre that grows fast have heavy metal above health risk limits. So you are eating your contombre and your body cooked plantain. You are gradually killing yourself. You are poisoning yourself. We have become a poison nation with children more at risk than adults. And you just have few individuals benefiting from these wicked acts. I mean, what can be more wicked than an individual poisoning a whole nation? Now when you go to the hospitals, the number of cases of kidney failure is going up. Liver is going up. The sad thing is that sometimes the people who suffer most are people who are vulnerable. They cannot even afford to go for implant or to go for transplant. And it's just a few individuals. It's so absurd. I mean, you just cannot think right that an individual will go into the middle of water, of a river, and mine pouring mercury, cyanide into the river. I mean, we just can't think about it. Sometimes it's like, even, excuse my French, somebody who is having mental problem should not do that. Because at least the person knows that when I'm thirsty, I need to drink water. And I will use that same water to drink. But we sit as a nation and watch this. Watch people pollute our rivers, pollute our environment. Very soon, I even learned European Union where they will start doing thorough analysis of our cocoa. And maybe start banning our cocoa because they are beginning to see some levels of heavy metal in our cocoa. So what happened to us? Because a few individuals want to enrich themselves. You have a president defending such a thing, just like he defended Cecilia Dapa when she hoarded so much money at a time when our vice president was saying that every Ghanaian was going to have a bank account. If you have a bank account, what do you do with a bank account? You put your money there. But whilst they were encouraging us to save our money at a bank, they were putting their money under their beds. You see how people can be. So for me, Wontumi crying at the radio station that Ghanaians should stand up, this is injustice. I mean, it's so absurd. His act was more wicked than anything else. I mean, sometimes I ask myself, why is even the developed world, pretend that they don't know what's happening in Africa? At a time when we were destroying our forests with so much impunity, Ghanaians the government at that time sent over 600 delegation to
that climate change
conference.
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself, either people just wanted to travel.
Yes, it was free.
I mean, meanwhile, we're going to talk about climate change.
We're cutting the trees.
Forest,
We're busy cutting trees
forest
along the road.
was a big sink to carbon.
Yes.
The river was a huge sink to carbon. And yet we're destroying these things with so much impunity. We deceived Ghanaians, putting Operation Vanguard, Operation Galam Stop, Operation what? And yet, we had big men who were mining. Who were the people who imported excavators? Me. I cannot afford an excavator. Who were the importers?
Watch this Chinese
man.
Man.
Sat and watch.
Watch this, the Chinese man who came
Destroyed.
to Ghana with nothing. Bring all these excavators.
It's so absurd. Honestly,
to destroy.
I am hoping that our laws will work, and these individuals who have been so wicked to Ghanaians by poisoning us on daily basis would go or be punished. Their assets confiscated, and they also in prison for this unthinkable wickedness to Ghanaians. And so, I mean, for me, Wontumi, I don't think he will even get any sympathy from any Ghanaian. Because the water being destroyed, anybody who would bear the brunt of that pollution would not be as a result of your political collaboration. If an NDC person drink that water, he will be poisoned. If an MPP does it, he will also be poisoned. So there is nothing like I belong to party A or party B. But we are talking about human life. We are talking about our survivor. And what they did was just wrong. It's so sad that a government tried to protect such acts, because at the end of the day, even the people protecting him are also who also face the implication of polluting water body or of poisoning water body. Because look, they may say that they are drinking bottled water, but is it bottled water they are using to cook?
They are not drinking bottled water.
When they go to conferences, do they know the water that people use to cook the food that they serve in the conference program, or when they go for a workshop? So look, nobody should be deceived that look, they can escape, they can import water, they can drink bottled water and go scot-free. We are all going to bear the brunt, and that is why we all need to fight against illegal mining, and the people who are in the realm or who are doing this act. We see them as enemies, because this act is just like murdering. They are killing all of us. It's just like murdering. And so he should just keep quiet and then face the law. And I am believing and trusting our judicial system that this time around, wrongdoers will be punished, and they will give them the severe punishment that they deserve. Because poisoning a whole nation is just like genocide. And we cannot allow it to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll do a few more messages and I'll come to Auntie-Rhoda. Wontumi says the Chief Justice appears to be making an appeal to PT in her recent removal case, focusing on her personal hardships rather than addressing the legal grounds for her removal. Thank you, Wontumi. Belinda Nyaku says good morning. SJB says good morning. Good morning, SVJ. In Debugri, George says that good morning, bless. Any Ghanaian who does not see any Wontumi as a threat to our livelihood is not an honest Ghanaian. Please ask Prof what happened to what happened to Beatrice Annan of our great family. Beatrice Annan, she's with the Bank of Ghana. She's on the board, right?
Yeah, she's with the Bank of Ghana. She's at the president's office. She's a presidential staffer and a member of the BOG board.
Yeah.
So she's fine.
She's fine. She's actually fine.
She's actually working very hard.
Right. Hi, Pan-African TV. Wontumi should go for his PRO. The president was seen defending his company. Now is the former president was seen defending his company. Now is the time that his president should come and serve as his PRO. Albert from Dansuman. All right, thank you, Albert, for your message. Good morning. The committee should please be fast for Tokonu to go. We are tired of waiting. The law is the law, so they should end it fast. So, all right, thank you. Good morning, bless and your distinguished ladies. Okay. Could you please play the video featuring the former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, alleging that Akunta mining was involved in illegal mining activities, which contradicts the statement made by former President Akufo-Addo. Akunta mining is not engaged in such activities. This inconsistency raises questions about the accuracy of the information provided to us by the former administration. The discrepancy highlights the need for clarity and consistency in addressing the issue of illegal mining. As a nation, we must take a firm stance against illegal mining and ensure that the law is enforced impartially and without leniency. Chairman Wontumi, like any other citizen, is subject to the laws of the land and should face the consequences of any wrongdoing without preferential treatment or sympathy. I gave from Tamale sent this one. Two more. Says Chairman Wontumi must further be interrogated and investigated for his unrestrained involvement in illegal artisanal mining, which is wreaking havoc on our water bodies and forest reserves. His company, Akunta Mining, is complicit in illegal mining activities, and government must revoke his license and concession in order not to be seen engaging in illegal mining, thus decimating our ecological zones and threatening security and safety of our country. Ernest Kwashi. Thank you, Ernest. My final message, then proceed. My regards to our mothers, bravo to all their comments. Kucho from Kumasi. Thank you, Kucho. Right. Auntie Rhoda, let's hear you.
Wontumi.
Yes, please.
You know, I don't know, but Wontumi seems to be living in a different world altogether. This is one person who wanted to make us believe that he was rich, was able to come on a show with gold bars to show us. He's willing at every moment to tell us how many houses he has, about 100 in Ashanti, in Kumasi. Somebody who continuously makes us believe that he has money and he's building a very big palace, he has a big house, and all those kinds of things. So when such a situation comes up about him, then you start asking questions as to where he got all his money from. And we've just been told, in very few words, illegalities all throughout. I think that the person of Wontumi has to be dealt with, and dealt with properly. Water pollution, environmental degradation, and to think of all the children born with deformities, as Prof has made us to understand, coming from her professional view of the amount of metals that we find in our waters and how it's affecting the food chain and all that, just makes us realize that Wontumi is one such person that we should not deal with leniently, because he doesn't show remorse. Even when in the face of all these things, he doesn't seem to show remorse. He's still denying the fact that he was doing the wrong thing. He was mining illegally. He's still trying to say that, no, I gave my concession to some other people, and if they did it, he's still denying. And for me, that gets me angry. This particular charge is on mining. That's just mining. We are not going to be talking about the other things like all the loans from Maslow, like from Exim. Exactly, the maize and all that. And now I understand where he was getting his bravado from, the way he felt so sure of himself, because he was making money that was, shall I say, cheap money. Because if you just go in there and you can get money from any source, it means that you are a big man, and because of that, you can dish out monies to delegates, you can dish out money to party foot soldiers, and expect that everybody will be singing your tune, you know. So Wontumi is a different case altogether. Wontumi is one person that I'm sure everybody will be hoping to see rots in jail for all these atrocities that he has meted out to the Ghanaian people. He's innocent until proven guilty. But if he's seen to have done all the things that we are saying he has done, I don't see why, prison shouldn't be his home for some time. And this is just to let other people know that you may have power, When you have power, you have to be able to handle it well, and you must know that it's just a transient thing. It can get out of your domain at any time. And therefore, you should handle those kinds of positions very, very well. Wontumi was somebody that felt he was untouchable. And when I see his face now, the way he looks, and I said, look, he looks such a pity sight. Such a pity sight. You can just see the fear, the cowardly look on his face. So you look at him and say, so it was just that power of having the fact that my party is in power, I am the chairman of Ashanti region, and therefore I'm powerful. That was what was giving him all that strength and energy to be able to say anything that he wanted to say. And being faced with the reality now, he's saying that he's nobody. He's no one. And that is how it goes to all political appointees. You are no one when that shield of your political party leadership is taken from you. So you have to behave well and do the right things.
Thank you.
We must be able to take everything, though. Right. Not just Jelimo. We have to take everything. We have to recover the loot. We have to make sure that we recover the loots before we jail. And this whole idea of plea bargaining. Look, plea bargaining doesn't mean that you just come and talk and then we take the money and you go. No. We have to confiscate some assets. We have to take some money back and then put you in jail.
Right. We have some 20 minutes more, enough time to discuss the dam that is going to be built at Wija, the Wija Dam specifically. I have been a direct, I've been affected directly before by this dam spillage. I spent some time in that enclave. I regret it. I regret the fact that I stayed there for some time. It wasn't easy.
Wija Dam.
It wasn't easy, but the Ghana Water Company Limited, they have come out to warn or admonish or caution persons who live in that enclave to evacuate. So you have to move. It happened in 2022. I think it was around 7th October or so. It was just about a week after I'd returned from my father's burial. I'd gone to put my father in the ground on my birthday. Then a week after, I was here, sitting here, reading the news, when I got a call that this was happening, the place was flooding. I'm like, okay. They opened the dam. It never gets into my compound anyway, so
you're fine.
Then they called to tell me that it has gotten into the compound. Wow, okay. Well, that's bad, but that's as far as it could go. It can't enter the room.
That's how you were thinking.
By the time I closed and got to Baya, the main road, the water was just about 50 meters near the main road. This main N1, the main Kaswa highway. So it had, and all the way down. So imagine it had come up all the way. Imagine what was happening down there. So I started to go through it, and before we could move from that junction, so let's say about 100 meters, the water was around my waist. And this was nowhere close to my house.
Wow.
By the time I'd gotten to the junction that leads to my house, the water was around my neck.
Wow.
And it was pulling me, it was dragging me. I wasn't even at my house, my junction. And the junction, from the junction to my house was about 150 meters. It was dragging me, so I advised myself. I moved. People were carrying their belongings. I lost everything. Everything that I'd labored and toiled for. So that was why I moved out from that place. But it's a real issue. I think we have videos that will be playing in the course so that people who live, people can see the reasons for which you should not build in such places.
That's a buffer.
Don't just build there.
That's all.
That's a green zone. Don't build there. But people have put up mansions over there. I know of an MP who has built a 2-bedroom apartment, two-bedroom. I think it should be around 8 rooms.
I have no sympathy.
8 apartments
Cheap
of
land.
2 bedrooms over there in that. A member of parliament currently serving in Ghana's parliament has a building over there. But I mean, and also my concern is the fact that it appears the laws are not working. Because if someone is putting up a building, the RedSec and NADMO and these MMDCs and co, and then those who grant permits.
Yes, the permits from the municipal assemblies.
So why would they continue? I mean, why would they, if you haven't granted someone permits and they are building in a waterway, why don't you break down the building in its initial stages?
No,
I mean, that is my concern.
No, they won't.
Like, that is my concern. And so that's the more reason why after, I'm surprised they're saying that they're coming to demolish buildings. And it hurts. Even if you are building in a floodable area, the lawmakers watch on for these buildings to spring up. Why? Because they take bribes from these same people. Is that not the case, Auntie Rhoda?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know if you know that enclave.
I don't know that Wija enclave so well. I try as much as possible to avoid certain areas. That's the honest truth. I don't know how many times I have used the Kasua road. I try, I mean...
You try to avoid it?
Yes. Some places I try to avoid because I don't like trouble. I don't want to go and be caught up in anything. So, I do know. You know, when I see Kasua roads flooded, I ask myself, why do you put yourself through such pain? Because Kasua in its entirety is a marshy area. It was meant for agric purposes, zoned out for agric purposes. So why do you sell land that you know is not meant for residences? You go and sell to people. And then because people will tell you, oh, it's 2,000 for a plot. When somebody tells you 2,000 for a plot, you think it's a good plot.
It's not.
So everybody rushes to go and buy. Now you are crying. I have no sympathy for those kinds of people. Wija is one story that I keep reading whenever they are going to spill the dam. And you hear people saying, we are not moving. The last time it didn't enter my house, so I'm not moving. How sure are you that it's not going to enter your house this time? You build on a piece of land that you know you're not supposed to build on. And then when it comes to being demolished, you expect compensation. Who's going to compensate you? The only pain I have is for the ordinary Ghanaian who, by virtue of the fact that we have had governments that have not taken social housing as a priority and therefore has made Ghanaians to go and rent, like you, to go out there and look for housing for themselves, and they are forced to go into rentals in such areas. That's the one that pains me, because at the end of it, they lose everything. You know, I had a guy I call my son who was also working at TV Africa. He also lost everything in that in the 22 in the yes, he lost everything, and he was standing. He says, "Mommy, look at me, with his mattress floating and everything else floating." You know, so it's so painful that we do things, you know, wrong, and we expect that no one should talk about it. Maybe because of the high office we hold. Like you're saying, an MP, he should have known better. He or she should have known better that you don't build on waterways. It's wrong. Why go and do that? So I am all out. If it means demolition, there should be no selective demolition. If it means demolition, demolish every house that is sitting on a waterway and surcharge them for the removal of the debris. Government shouldn't have to go and remove the debris for free. Surcharge those people who have built on the waterways for the debris collection. That's the only way, that's the only deterrent that we can have for Ghanaians to start understanding that we have to go with the law. When something is not supposed to be, let it not be. Because Wija is where we are getting our water from. Those who are on the western side get their water from Wija. We are on the other side from Boom. So if you look at yourself only and decide to do something that would bring discomfort and havoc to other people, it is just right and proper that we deal with you with the law. So within the law, if it means surcharging people, surcharge them. Anyone who says you're not going to move, if you don't move, don't call NADMO, because they don't even have the equipment. They don't have it. So if you are going to call NADMO whilst you are actually endangering the lives of other people's relatives by your adamant behavior. So if you decide to stay in your house, because the last time the water didn't get into your house, if it's engulfing you, don't call NADMO. Try and get to the rooftop until it goes down. That's the only way. Because it's about time we take responsibility for our types of behaviors that are negative. It is not right. You find people actually going to build, you know, when they're making roads and they leave alleyways for, especially where you have these high tension, you know, they leave alleyways, and it's supposed to be an exit point or an entrance if there is anything wrong with the transformers. People think that it's extra, so they build walls around it. And those kinds of things, you look at a person, you educated people in high standing, you have been able to cough out so much money to buy a piece of land in East Legon or Ajiringano or Cantonments or somewhere, and there's this small alleyway that you can afford, but you know that it's not for sale. It has a purpose. That in the event that there is a fire outbreak or there is anything, that is the main exit point. You go, and because you have the power, you decide to build. And when they come to break it down, you expect compensation. In fact, you expect to be jailed, not compensation. The same goes with people who are building on the sides of the roads. Yeah. You know, there's a stipulated size that should be left as pavement, and people still go ahead and build on it. And when they're going to have new roads or expand roads and they say road demolish, you don't understand. I am just appealing to all the authorities that are going to be involved in the Wija demolition exercise to do the right thing according to the law and deal with any recalcitrant person.
You know, oftentimes they try to put a human face.
Yeah, of course, everybody wants to put a human. That's what I'm saying. I said we are disadvantaged by the fact that our governments do not give us social housing. Yeah. You understand? If you look at all the houses that are coming up, they are beyond the reach of the ordinary Ghanaian. And that's how come everybody is putting up a kiosk or a one-bedroom or... You know, I said we are now selling quarter plots. Something that we didn't used to know before. Yeah. You're buying a plot, you're buying a plot. Then we got to half plots. Now we are talking of quarter plots. Before long, we are going to be getting just 10 by 10 or 5 by 5. You understand? Just where your one bed will be, which for me is totally wrong. So with a human face, yes, but then if the people decide that they don't want a human face, but they are just being recalcitrant by saying we are not moving, deal with them accordingly. Right.
We have some 10 minutes more. Let me take the thoughts of Prof. Prof, let's hear you.
Spillage is an annual thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I ask myself, why would people allow themselves to be going through this annual pain? So every year, you know that you are either going to lose your property or you have to evacuate yourself, move to another place for a number of days or weeks before you come back. I mean, as a country, I think we should try to find solutions to our problem once and for all. We shouldn't be repeating the same thing every now and then. We have Accra flooding, and it's on annual basis. Why can't we find solution to it? People have built where they are not supposed to build. We should find a way of moving those people out permanently. I mean, if you say move to higher grounds, yes, so they move to higher ground, the water comes, they destroy the property, they move in. The following year, the same thing. I mean, we cannot do the same thing, or we cannot do things the same way and expect different results. Yeah. As a nation, we should abide by our laws. If the law says that don't build, or every water body should have about a 50-meter buffer, we should respect that. And anybody that flouts that law should be punished. We are not supposed to build on waterways. We should abide by that. Anybody that is foul culpable should be punished. We are not supposed to build on wetlands. Anybody that builds on wetlands should be punished. You see, if we say we want to treat these with human face, at the end of the day, it's innocent people that will become victim of an incident or of an event. Like you indicated, the MP who have gone to build it, he will not live there. He's going to build there. Somebody who ordinarily shouldn't have suffered because of dam spillage will suffer. But then the MP who have gone to do that is sitting in his East Legon building or cantonment building, whilst innocent people are suffering. I think as a nation, we should not be like, excuse my language, dogs that vomit and go back for their vomits. We do the same thing, we do things the same way and expect different results. Why should every year people go through this emotional trauma of losing everything they've thought for? We need leaders that can take bold decisions. Sometimes we may feel the pain, but with time, you tend to benefit from that pain. If there are huge buildings on the waterways, as my earlier co-panelists indicated, should be pushed down. The individual may feel the pain, but at the end of the day, we will solve an annual problem. So we are tired of every year people going through this pain, we're watching people suffering, and it's as if we are not using our head, because why do we allow ourselves to be going through this every year? The laws must work, irrespective of whoever who is flouting the law should face some stiffer punishment. And I think that NADMO as an organization should not just be there to provide blankets and mattresses or buckets to people, but should also serve as organization that gives early warning, should also serve as organization that liaise with the law enforcement agencies to make sure that they enforce the law. Because it's a waste of resources if we allow ourselves to build on waterways, or we allow people to build on waterways, the water comes, it destroys their property. Money that you're supposed to use for development is now used as relief item for this individual. We are not getting anywhere. So I will plead with leadership that we need to take certain action that we will call it as bold action. Because sometimes you see the building and you tell yourself, oh, this nice building, should it come down? But if it's not at the right place, it should come down.
And you know, we tend to not think of the health implications of having these buildings. The dump. Yeah. People are dying of pneumonia. Mm-hmm. Children are having respiratory problems. Yeah. And it means more money going to the hospital. But we don't hear these things. But those are the things that are happening there. Yeah. So and because people just feel like we don't have it, we don't have the money, I am a poor person. But you see, poverty in its own sense, you know, you must also protect yourself. Because if you go there and you're going to be getting pneumonia, and you're going to be getting asthma, you're going to be getting all sorts of things, it means that you're always going to spend the little money you have in the clinic, in the hospital. So we must also help people to help themselves. But I think that as a country going forward, we must look at housing for our people. We must actually find ways and means of building for the ordinary person to be able to afford to rent. I don't understand why very nice, neat lands that we carve out as state lands are given to the privileged in society. And then we rather leave the rubbish lands, the mushy lands that need reclaiming to poor people to go and reclaim. They can't reclaim. It's the rich who can reclaim places and build their houses. But if we can get government to give poor people, you know, ordinary Ghanaians who cannot afford the huge rents, if they can do some social housing, build good houses. State housing is building houses, but it's beyond the reach of ordinary Ghanaians. So we need to do some form of social housing. It's long overdue. It's long overdue. We need to do that.
All right, thank you. My time is nearly up, but I still have a little time to read a few messages. Good morning, blessed. It is time the ordinary Ghanaians also protected ourselves and be ready to succumb to the laws when applied on us. The law is the law. Siglo K. Ibrahim, thank you, Siglo. Good morning, host. Wontumi should give us a break. They think this country belongs to them, so they do whatever they like, talking anyhow in this country. So like former CG says, the law is the law, so that is it. You should keep quiet. Why should you be behind the pollution of our water bodies? From Prosper Kaleji in Kaswa. Thank you, Prosper. Gershon says, bless, Wontumi behaves in this country as if when he urinates before we get salaries, before we get petrol and diesel. As for his denials of the crime, please tell Auntie Rolling not to be surprised. It is very common for any accused person or criminal to deny wrongdoing in whatever they are accused of. Wontumi will surely face the law. The law is the law. Thank you. Good morning, bless. This is Aminata from Mali, but watching you from Labadi Trade Fair. My salute to your two great women. Okay, thank you. The NPP, as the largest political party in opposition, has lowered the baseline of governance and demonstrated unprecedented incompetence in handling the fiduciary trust of the Ghanaian people with utter impunity. They claim government's infallibility and gaslighted the suffering Ghanaians electorate in a manner that made many question their own precocity to decipher truth and reality from partisan propaganda and falsehood. We were hungry and they said we weren't hungry. They stole our savings from the banks by giving us crude haircuts in an unprecedented manner, and they insisted we should praise them for this. Their handling of our economy was as if they hadn't been to elementary school before, and their show of greed in stealing and siphoning our public funds was over the roof. They will be in opposition for 68 years. Ghana is working again under the stellar leadership of President John Dramani Mahama. Okay, thank you, Ernest, for your message. Good bless. Good morning, bless, and to your guest. I'm enjoying your program. Keep it up. My name is Abbas from Gushegu in the northern region. Thank you, Abbas, for your message. I'll read this last one because my time is up. You should understand the real intention of the suspended CJ. She's doing all these and throwing out all these allegations so that the committee will succumb to a request for a public hearing or a case in order to let the public know the truth or otherwise of the claims. How will those claims be verified? Otherwise, I can't see the legitimacy of these claims. Obeng from Kufuridia. Thank you, Obeng, for your message. This is where we draw curtains on today's edition of the newspaper review. I want to thank you so much, and those of you who tuned in across the length and breadth of the continent, those of you who watched across the 16 regions of Ghana, thank you so much, and those of you who watched on YouTube and on Facebook. My name is Bless KOKU ALORMASOR. As usual, I sat in for Kwame Osudan, so I'll see you tomorrow. Do have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.